Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about veganism. It's a topic I've wanted to touch on for a while now, and let me just say right off the bat, I have the utmost respect for vegans. I really admire what they do on a daily basis, and I'm kind of a wannabe vegan myself that hasn't quite, jumped off the cliff yet. But I was thinking about it, and I noticed that vegans and voluntarists actually have a whole lot in common. And the more I started thinking about it, I was wondering why vegans aren't all voluntarists just by default. So here are some of the similarities that I came up with. First, and probably biggest one, is that both groups are very ethical and empathetic. Vegans oppose violence towards animals. They don't want to see animals tortured, treated inhumanely, killed, etc., which is often the norm in modern factory farming. Voluntarists oppose violence towards humans. They oppose, force, coercion, threats that are used to enforce taxation and laws. So both groups are advocates of the non-aggression principle in some form. Another big one is that vegans and voluntarists both reject the commodity status of living things. Vegans reject the commodity status of animals being used as resources for human benefit. They don't really like to see animals being eaten, used as clothing, tested on, things like that. Voluntarists reject the commodity status of people being used as tax cattle by politicians for their benefit. They reject the notion that rulers should use the future productivity of our unborn citizens as an excuse to continue to spend more and inflict their wills on others. Both groups are kind of like on the fringes of society and have to be ready to defend their positions to a very skeptical public that likes to shoot stupid questions their way on a daily basis almost. Vegans are tired of answering, how will you get your protein? And voluntarists always have to answer, well, who will build the roads? Both kind of, face a certain amount of social ostracism, and they are used to ignorant comments being directed their way too. Vegans hear, animals don't feel pain, don't worry about them. And voluntarists are always getting hit with, well, why don't you just move to Somalia if you don't like it here? Stupid questions, stupid comments. Both vegans and voluntarists need to be willing to get creative. Vegans are working with a lot less ingredients to cook with, and they might need to get a little crafty when coming up with new recipes. For example, they might have the challenge of, how am I going to get my nutritional requirements met on a daily basis? They might not have an answer to that at first or for each meal that they're going to eat, but they know that chickens shouldn't have to suffer just in order for them to eat. Voluntarists are faced with the challenging problem of coming up with solutions to societal problems in the absence of the state. For example, a difficult question we often get asked is, how will children be protected in a free society? Well, we might not have an exact answer right away, but we know that Child Protective Services is completely immoral the way that they operate and incentivize their workers. So, yeah, they gotta get kind of crafty and creative with some of these solutions and recipes and things like that. I don't know. If vegans cared about animal rights, and I have no doubt that a large majority do, and they're being vegans for ethical reasons, well, then the state should be their public enemy number one. The meat industry gets all of their power and monopoly-granted privileges from government through lobbying and cronyism. Vegans should fundamentally oppose taxation because when you think about it, taxes go to pay for, military, school, and prison lunches, all of which contain meat. They're being monetarily forced to endorse the meat industry with no choice to defund. I don't know. I think that the state has done the most to hurt animals, in my opinion, more than any other entity. Especially with all the pollution they do through the Department of Defense and destruction of wildlife, etc., etc., etc. And here's where it might get a little bit controversial. So in my mind, it makes total sense that all vegans should be voluntarists. But I'm still not sure if all voluntarists should necessarily be vegan. I don't know, it's just a little bit easier and more logical to think in this direction. I oppose violence against animals, therefore I must oppose violence against humans. It's a little bit more of a leap to go, I oppose violence against humans, therefore I oppose violence against animals. I mean, I'll be the first to willingly and honestly admit that I'm not vegan because of resources, convenience, and just laziness. I really should take the non-aggression principle and extend it out even farther to include animals if I want to stay as consistent as possible. But I don't know. A lot of meat-eating libertarians argue against veganism because animals can't reason, and they are used to sustain life in a complicated, complex ecosystem. So I just have trouble with that because I think animals do have consciousness and they can feel pain, but I don't know. I might sound like a total hypocrite. That's fine. Call me out. I am going through a fair amount of cognitive dissonance with this topic, and it will require a lot of research on my part. I really do want to be peaceful towards all living things, but where do we draw the line at living? I don't know. I really don't mean to offend anybody. I'm just trying to hash these questions out. If you guys are vegans, definitely leave comments below on how your experience has been, any tips you might have for beginners. I'm pregnant right now. I don't know if I'm going to start trying to eat this way, but it is something that I want to try to introduce more of slowly, gradually into my life because I think it is healthy and I think that the ethical reasons are legit. If you've ever seen the documentary Earthling, you know what I'm talking about. So, Earthlings, yeah, I'll link it below. But yeah, definitely leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Are you a vegan and a voluntarist, or are you one or the other? I don't know. Just kind of sound off, and I will be talking to you guys below. All right, thanks.